Hello, my name is Katie McGuire, an instructional supervisor at the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School. In this presentation, we will examine analysis of three trends and their potential impact on the success, viability, and sustainability at PA Cyber. We will take a close look at personalized education, school choice, and school dropout. According to Learning Session 5's PowerPoint, Sir Isaac Newton once said that to any action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Moving from standardized education to a more personalized education for each student. Schools in the past have been geared towards high-stakes testing and standardized curriculum, but the future trend is for personalized education. In 16 Trends, Gary Marks states that many students are being deemed failures due to high-stakes tests. Education has been narrowed down to what is being tested and not helping prepare students for their pursuit to college. Many parents are beginning to worry that students are not getting the personal attention they need to prepare them for their future. Why do we have standards? We need accountability. Schools rely on the school funding what the government needs and maintain so they can maintain some control. Schools must agree to guidelines by the government. When the economy went bad in the 70s and 80s, standardized tests were put in place to put pressure on schools who weren't doing what they were supposed to be. A rigid curriculum has been built due to high-stakes testing. Because of this, educational institutes who value smaller learning communities and a more personalized education are at odds. Personalized education has implications for society as well. Business leaders need to know that communities that learn are those that can think critically and not just test well. Standards should be looked at often so they are aligned with globalization to help students. The primary goal is to give each person the opportunity to maximize their potential. Measure of growth on standardized tests shows a step in the right direction rather than just placing so much emphasis on the actual test scores. Our society likes customization and schools should respond to this, as does PA Cyber through making a choice on the curriculum that fits the students best. An example would be a cell phone. There are so many different options to pick from on packages. Schools are leaning towards a more personalized education just like a cell phone plan, by offering this school choice, intervention, and individualized education plans. The threat that is most apparent at PA Cyber faces currently is high-stakes testing. The PSSAs are the most critical assessment given to students. They are the data that determine how you are doing, at least in the state's eyes. PA Cyber made AYP for the last 2 school years, but in 2011-2012, they did not, and this was a huge issue for PA Cyber. A bonus used to be awarded to all employees based on AYP performance, but because of this bonus was not awarded this school year. There are many implications with high-stake testing. With personalized education, teachers will be able to not focus so much on the actual test, but getting to know their students. The standards make this difficult as we often feel as though we are teaching to the test. Although curriculum-based assessments do show us what our students are learning, they are not the only thing that show an improvement. Many parents in the special education department fight for what they want for their child. They make sure their child's education is personalized so that they are receiving the best instruction, and because of this, we often face due process. By utilizing personalized education, teachers can get to know their students better instead of focusing and teaching to the test. At PA Cyber, students are able to make a choice of the curriculum that fits them best. This is personalized education at its best. At PA Cyber, we do not follow the one-size-fits-all approach. All students are different. There is no such thing as a cookie-cutter kid. High-stakes testing, however, does put a damper on this motto. In addition, as an instructional supervisor, less time is spent teaching in the classroom and more time is spent servicing families via phone conversation or virtual tutoring. This is a great way to get personalized with your student and family needs. Developing a rapport with your students is crucial because, as Carol states in the education leadership, when the people around us are pulling for us, when we feel valued by their expectations and partnership, we persevere. By limiting the size of students in a virtual classroom, teachers are able to give a more personalized education. However, instructional supervisors have rosters anywhere from 37 in the special education department to 120 in regular education. By implementing small rosters for teachers, Gary says that teachers will be able to show you who performed well in the class today and tomorrow. We need to individualize the talents of all students and not just some students. A recommendation would be to give every student an individualized education plan rather than a student with a learning disability. All teachers, not just special ed teachers, would be required to write a plan for each student to maximize their potential, no matter if it was for enrichment or disability reasons. This would take additional training for both the regular and the special education teacher. This would be a long process and would take at least 3 years to get trained and be implemented. Another recommendation is to prepare our students for the future. Although PA Cyber is a virtual school, we need to get out in the community more often and give students hands-on learning experience within their communities. We need to make our education for students flexible and prepare them for the real world to compete globally. As an organization, we cannot succumb to a bureaucratic climate. Virtual field trips would even be a great option. This recommendation could be implemented and should be immediately. These are the sources used for personalized education. Our next trend is school choice. As highlighted in the 2012 Gallup poll, for almost 10 years we have documentation that Americans have increasing support for charter schools, peaking last year at 70%. However, this year there was a decline to only 66%. This year's approval rating jumped for support of private school vouchers from 34% to 44%. In education today, parents want to ensure that their child has the best opportunity possible to be successful when they graduate. In order for students to be successful and well-rounded, they need to have access to resources that provide them with the ability to learn and communicate in today's society. This is where the school choice can come into play. School choice has become a major change in education in the past decade. Many students are choosing their education of choice like a charter school, which in turn affects the relationship from the choice school and the traditional public school or the home district of the student. According to Matt Fulmer, in an article titled "Charter Schools Exploding in Growth from Coast to Coast," the charter school growth coincides with staff layoffs and closed schools in traditional districts. This has caused a heated debate as to whether students should be allowed to attend a choice school and decide where the funds should stay, with the student at the choice school or at the home district. According to an article, Charter School Achievement, students who attend charter schools are making significantly larger gains than those in a traditional public school. The study shows that in Boston, Chicago, and Florida, that students have higher graduation rates and greater probabilities of attending college than those in a traditional public school. These are statistics that should be looked at when deciding on the scarce resource of funds when it comes to traditional school versus cyber schools. As changes have come about in education, charter schools, magnet schools, cyber schools, and even homeschooling have provided more competition for public school and private schools, because parents now have the option to choose what is best for their child. Funding is rather a complicated issue and has caused controversy in state laws. Many times we face financial situations where we have to fight to get funds for students. Moreover, PA Cyber faces criticism for being a profit school. We really only take the money that should be spent on students in their home districts. Another threat that PA Cyber faces is other competitors. With more choice schools opening and vouchers being provided to parents, PA Cyber is no longer the #1 contender for cyber schools. Not only that, but school districts are now creating their own cyber programs to keep students in their home districts. PA Cyber has 11,000 students, but those numbers could drop as students are now having more choices. School choice is what PE Cyber is all about. Students are able to choose the education that best fits them. With different curriculum choices to choose from, like the flex model, synchronous, and asynchronous, student learning is individualized. When it comes to homeschooling students, parents may not be able to financially provide their child with the most up-to-date resources. With the creation of cyber charter schools, parents are able to still have the homeschool environment, but receive materials from the school that are publicly funded. Parents are getting the best of both worlds in this situation. They don't have to put up the money, but they are getting great resources. The creation of PA Cyber has also leveled the playing field for students who live in low-income areas. Their public schools may not have the same access to new resources, such as schools in rich neighborhoods, but schools of choice allow for great resources regardless of where a student is born or lives. Parents are able to give their child an education that they feel that they deserve and provide them with a chance to be exposed to things that they have not had the chance otherwise in their public district. I believe that school choice should always be a decision that is left up to the family. However, when families do make a choice, the competition for resources impacts both the school they choose and the home district. With that being said, competing for scarce resources is a major issue facing the school system right now. Since the home district is no longer responsible for educating that child, the funds should follow the student to the choice school, in my opinion. Whatever school the student decides to attend should have all of the resources available to educate that student so that they can make the most of their education. School choice is important to many families who do not have the resources to send their students to a suitable school because of their demographics. As educators in the PE Cyber, we need to keep attending legislation meetings like Day on the Hill in Harrisburg to support school choice so that our students can receive the proper education. Although it is taking funds from school districts, we are providing our students with the appropriate skills needed to compete in the new global market. I can't help but pay attention to the statistics when it comes to charter school achievement. Although it is not for every student, those who do attend and are successful are given the most up-to-date resources to learn with. A child in a home district may not be able to afford internet or computer to work on school projects, but while in a choice school, that is usually provided for them. We need to keep fighting for the funds to follow our students. All of these strategies above can be implemented immediately at PA Cyber. The following resources were used for school choice. Our final trend is school dropouts. According to the 44th Annual Gallup poll in 1972, fewer than half of Americans thought students should be required to attend school until they reached the age of 18. But 40 years later, that number has changed. Today, 2 out of 3 Americans believe students should stay in school until they are at least 18, so the numbers have increased. The Gallup poll brought up an interesting statistic that Americans are split on the thought of students being required to graduate high school in order to receive a driver's license. This may affect a public school because students often drive to school, but with PA Cyber being a virtual school, this really wouldn't affect their education. In the Dropout Nation podcast, Rochelle Biddle reports that we need to get rid of poor performing teachers as students' achievements will fail and likely drop out of school. PA Cyber holds their teachers to the highest esteem. All staff members that teach our students are certified Pennsylvania teachers. An evaluation system is used within the organization to make sure teachers adhere to top-notch and effective teaching. The PSSA results in grades 9 through 12 at PA Cyber only met 2 out of the 12 AYP indicators in reading and math. Within the 9 to 12 band, graduation rate is an issue. PA Cyber faces the threat of decreased graduation, especially when dropout rates are increasing. Many students come to PA Cyber as a last option to achieve an education. When the curriculum becomes too rigorous for the student, they choose to drop out. While PA Cyber tries to convince them to give public school one more shot, they often do not, and dropout counts towards our statistics. While dropouts can hurt PA Cyber as stated in the previous slide, PA Cyber can be another option for students who attend public school and are going to drop out, but see PA Cyber as their last resort. An example is teenage pregnancy. School is too difficult and the student needs time off, so they come to PA Cyber when they can receive in-home, self-paced curriculum. Due to the recent high school dropout rates at PA Cyber, something needed to be done. PA Cyber has brought on a program called GAP. We have gone back to previous students who have dropped out and offered them a program with credit recovery courses so they complete high school and receive a diploma. Students who are attending PA Cyber who need a little bit of extra help and are targeted as dropouts because they are fifth-year seniors are also in the GAP program where they are assigned to an advisor that works with them one-on-one to achieve goals in graduation. In agreement with President Obama, my recommendation is that students should have to stay in high school until they are 18. It is so important for students to have an education to be able to be competitively global and to also sustain life after high school and support themselves. A strategy to be utilized that can be effective immediately, while it is not ideal to school statistics, is to have students drop out but enter a Job Corps program. While it will still count against PA Cyber as a dropout, the student is still receiving education. While at Job Corps, the student lives on the property while choosing from one of 56 trades to learn and can receive either a GED or a diploma. This offers parents another opportunity for their students to succeed and gives the teacher the pleasure of knowing that they have done everything to help their students succeed and get an education. If it does mean a dropout, even if it does mean a dropout for the school. Sources used for dropouts.